Ever think about what it'd be like to live in a place loaded with resources, but you can't even keep the lights on?
Sounds frustrating.
Totally. And that's what we're diving into today. Nigeria's electricity problem.
A big problem for sure.
It is. But the solution they're looking at is kind of surprising. Get this. They're talking about using recovered, stolen money.
Oh, wow. So using, like, ill-gotten gains for a brighter future.
Exactly. Can that actually work? Can they actually make it happen? That's what we're going to find out today.
All right, let's get into it. To really grasp how big this issue is, we got to look at the numbers.
Perfect. Lay it on us.
Okay. Nigeria, over 200 million people, right? They only produce about 4,000 megawatts of electricity.
That doesn't seem like a lot for such a big population.
It's really not. Now compare that to South Africa. They have about a quarter of the population, but generate almost 50,000 megawatts.
Whoa, that's a huge difference. Makes you wonder if it's more than just a lack of resources holding them back.
You're hitting the nail on the head. It's not just about making enough power. Their infrastructure is seriously outdated.
Ah, so they're losing power even before it gets to people.
Big time. We're talking transmission lines from the 1960s. That's a lot of power lost on the way.
Okay, so outdated infrastructure, not enough power generation, and that's where the stolen money comes in, right?
Bingo. We're talking billions of dollars siphoned away over the years because of corruption.
So how are they planning to actually use this recovered money?
They've actually got a pretty solid plan in place. 40% is going towards building new power plants, which is obviously crucial.
Those power plants make sense. What else?
Another 30% will go to upgrading those old transmission lines, cutting down on all that lost power.
Okay, tackling those two big problems head on. I like it.
Right. But here's where it gets really interesting. 20% is earmarked for renewable energy.
Specifically solar, right. Given how much sunshine Nigeria gets, I can see why they'd focus on that.
Absolutely. But it's not as simple as just slapping some solar panels everywhere.
I was just thinking, wouldn't you need a whole new infrastructure for solar?
You got it. Training people to maintain the systems, connecting them to the grid, it's a whole ecosystem.
Makes sense. So it's about building something sustainable. So what about the last 10% of the recovered funds? Where's that going?
That last bit is split between ongoing maintenance for the whole power system and, this is key, training programs for workers.
No, they're really thinking about the future.
Exactly. Making sure they have people who can keep this whole thing running for the long haul.
That's smart. But I gotta say, with Nigeria's history, there's gotta be some skepticism about all of this, right?
Oh, for sure. Trust is a big issue, especially with all the corruption that's happened in the past.
Yeah, it makes sense that people would be wary.
Totally. So it's not just about throwing money at the problem. They have to earn back the public's trust.
How can they actually do that? I mean, how do you show people this money's gonna be used the right way?
Transparency. Every single dollar has to be trackable, involving civil society, independent audits, regular updates to the public.
So basically, being completely open about where the money's going.
Exactly. Think of it like a giant public ledger. Everyone can see how the money's being used.
That would definitely be a big step in the right direction. Giving people the power to hold the government accountable.
And you know what? This whole situation could actually be a really positive example, not just for Nigeria, but for other countries too.
I see what you mean. If Nigeria can really turn things around using this stolen money, it sends a powerful message.
Totally. It shows that fighting corruption can actually lead to real positive change for the people who were hurt by it.
It's definitely a story worth watching. Now let's dive into the potential impact of this whole plan, especially the solar aspect.
Okay, so let's picture those rural communities, the ones off the grid, relying on kerosene lamps, right? Or those expensive generators.
Yeah, I can't imagine relying on those for everything.
Now imagine that same village, but it's all powered by the sun.
Wow, what a difference. That would be huge for those communities.
Yeah.
But how do you actually make that happen? I mean, how do you go from kerosene lamps to a whole solar-powered community?
It's a pretty big change. First, you got to install the solar panels, right? On homes, schools, healthcare centers, all of that.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Get those panels up and running.
Then you got to set up a microgrid. That
Yeah.
way the electricity gets distributed properly. And of course, you got to train people locally to install and maintain everything.
Ah, so it's about giving the community ownership over their own energy, right?
Exactly. It's not just bringing in technology. It's about making it sustainable, making it theirs.
And when people feel like they own it, they're more likely to take care of it. That's smart.
Totally. So we've been talking about those rural communities, but what about the bigger picture? What kind of impact could this plan have on the economy overall?
Oh yeah, let's talk about the economic side of things. It seems like reliable electricity could be a game changer.
You're right. Think about it. Businesses can operate way more efficiently when they don't have to worry about the power going out all the time.
No more relying on generators, no more lost productivity because of blackouts.
Exactly. And that means businesses can grow, maybe even hire more people.
So this could have a ripple effect across the whole economy.
It could. Think about attracting new investment, maybe even whole new industries popping up.
Manufacturing, tech, maybe even tourism could benefit from this.
Absolutely. And we can't forget about the social benefits either.
Right, things like healthcare and education.
Kids can actually study after dark. Hospitals can run their equipment without interruptions. The quality of life improves across the board.
This is a pretty complex situation. We've got these big energy challenges, but also this innovative plan using the stolen money to hopefully turn things around.
It's definitely a unique approach.
You mentioned earlier that Nigeria could be a good example for other countries.
Yeah.
What makes this so interesting, do you think?
I think it's because they're actually trying to turn a negative, this history of corruption, into something good.
Right, taking those stolen resources and using them to make things better.
If it works, it could inspire other countries to do the same, to hold their own leaders accountable, to take back what was stolen and use it for good.
It's a powerful message. It shows that even when things look bad, there's always hope.
Absolutely. And it shows that fighting corruption isn't just about punishing the bad guys, it's about creating a better future.
Well said. So we've talked a lot about the challenges, the plans, the potential benefits. But before we wrap up, I'd love to hear your final thoughts. What do you hope people will take away from this deep dive?
Honestly, I just hope people remember that even when things seem impossible, there's always room for positive change.
It's amazing to see them trying to turn things around, using what was meant to hurt them to actually make progress.
It really makes you think, what if we always thought about fighting corruption this way? Like, what if it wasn't just about punishment, but about actually using what was taken to make things better?
That's a really cool way to look at it. Like, instead of just focusing on the bad guys, we focus on helping the people they hurt.
Yeah, using that money to make a real difference. Makes you wonder if this could actually work in other areas too.
You mean like beyond just fixing their energy problems?
Right. What about using this idea for healthcare or education, even infrastructure? Imagine a global fund that takes all this recovered money and invests it in projects all over the world.
That's a pretty big idea. But we've seen how it could work in Nigeria, so who knows? Maybe it could work for other problems too.
Think about all the good that I could do. Building schools, funding hospitals, bringing clean water to communities that need it. The possibilities are huge.
It shows that this whole fight against corruption isn't just about the law. It's about giving people back what was taken from them. It's about opportunity.
And to make something like this happen, we got to be serious about transparency and accountability. Every dollar has to be used the right way, and people need to know that.
So open about where the money's going, how it's being used, and who's making those decisions.
Exactly. It's a tough challenge, no doubt, but it's definitely a challenge worth taking on. I mean, we're talking about making the world a better place, a fairer place.
This whole deep dive, it started with this problem, this feeling of like, can Nigeria even fix this? But now, looking at this solution, it feels hopeful.
It does, doesn't it? There's this sense of possibility, like things can actually change for the better.
We learned about the corruption, the struggles they've had with their power grid, but then we see this potential in solar energy, and it feels like, wow, maybe they can actually turn this around.
It shows you that even when things look really tough, there's always a way to make things better.
It all comes down to changing how we think about things, right? Finding new solutions, holding our leaders accountable. So as we wrap up today, I want to leave everyone with a question. What can we each do to stop corruption? How can we make sure the resources we have actually benefit everyone? Because this isn't just a Nigeria problem, it's a global problem.
It's a question we should all be asking. And remember, even though change takes time, we all have a part to play. Talking about these issues, spreading awareness, pushing for more transparency, those are all things we can do.
It all adds up. Thanks for being with us on this deep dive. We hope you learned something new today and that it makes you think about these issues in new ways.
Keep asking those questions, stay engaged, and never forget that we can make a difference when we work together.
See you next time.
Our journey of discovery doesn't end here. It's just the beginning. Every video we create is a passion project, a window into fascinating worlds we can't wait to share with you. If these stories have touched your heart, sparked your curiosity, or made you smile even for a moment, we would be incredibly grateful if you drop a comment and tell us what you felt. Subscribe to join our growing family. Smash that like button, share with someone who might love this content. Your support isn't just a number to us, it's everything. As a small channel, every single view, every single share means we can continue creating, exploring, and connecting with incredible people like you. We're not just making videos, we're building a community, one story at a time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing in us.